The Female Solution Global Radio TV Show invites you to an invigorating conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Self-Cell Care with Jody Susan. Wednesdays, Repairing Broken Families with Naima Latif and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Soulful Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green. And Fridays, Health and Wellbeing with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Success Strategies with Jana. Second Saturday, Wendy Williams Esquire on relationships. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. And fourth Saturday, Wisdom with Mama D. Join us Sundays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to the host and be a part of the solution. And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV Show. I'm Naima Latif, and we are joined with our co-host Kareem Hamid and the American Muslim 360 family on the other line. And we are talking about how to prepare our children for leadership coming off of this election. We see that the power of our vote can put people in position, but if they don't have a different mindset, one where they are actually able to think outside the box, so to speak, and envision creating a world better than what we have today, then we merely have people with a face, but it's the same situation. So vision is critical for leadership. We know that the systems that we have do not work. And we know that the poverty is so overwhelming. And every city, Chicago, St. Louis, New York, Atlanta, all cities have such a crippling poor class that it creates the condition of crime. People who feel deprived because they feel that no one cares about them, so they learn not to care about others, and they survive the best way they can, which often is violently. And if we're going to change that, it takes more than marching and protesting. It takes some creation of different systems of being, which means you got to have more than a particular color of skin or hair texture. You have to have a different mind. And this is where we begin the process of creation, teaching children to envision the world in the way they want it to be, so they can think in terms of, how will I create something different when I am the head of the city, when I am the head of the state, when I am the head of the nation, or when I'm just president of my block club? What can I do differently so that the problems that we have no longer exist? That's the mindset that we want to create in this upcoming generation. So, Brother Kareem, we've got some callers on our line, and if you've got some callers on the AM 360 line, we'll certainly be glad to open their microphones and get their thoughts.
Okay. I see no one on this line yet. I invite those of you that are on the AM 360 studio board. Press 1 on your phone and share your reflections on the subject matter that Naima have presented this morning. A wonderful subject matter. Very important.
Yes. Well, let me go to, I'm going to take you all in this order. 425-520, then 314-677. And anyone else that's on our switchboard, if they've got a comment regarding how do we prepare our children for leadership, we invite you to press 1. So let me go to 425-520. Introduce yourself to our listening and viewing audience. We are now live on our Facebook and YouTube channel, The Female Solution. So give us your name, where you're calling from, and your comments.
LA, Central Florida.
Hey, LA.
One of the LA, I've been noticing. Hey, how you doing, Kareem? One of the trends that I've been noticing, and I'm using it as a barometer as far as Black folk in the United States are concerned, is I know of about 3 or 4 groups of Black folk. They're not very big in number, but they're either planning to buy the town, they can have their own political system, including judicial system, law enforcement, the whole 9 yards. Or they've already purchased land and they're in the process of creating new townships, in some cases municipalities. I know of one group, they live in Philadelphia, but they bought 110 acres of land to start their own community in Georgia. And then I know of another group started by two Black women that they talked to some friends, and they had 19 families to put up money, so they bought 97 acres of land with that. And now they're up to 502 acres of land. But they're planning to have their own municipality. They want their own police force. So I would call that out of the box thinking. They're not trying to change a larger city like Atlanta or anything like that. They just say, you know what, let's start from scratch and build up and create our own thing. So I've been tracking them for about 5 or 6 years now.
Now that really should give us some inspiration. What have you observed in terms of their structures for leadership and their decision-making process? Is it like more of a, that maybe meet as a council, they have a collective discussion, or some type of mutual consultation system where everybody has a voice? How do they go about selecting who they trust for leadership? What have you observed in terms of their organizing and leadership selection style that apparently is working?
Well, with one of them, I'm interviewing one group of them tomorrow, but what I've noticed is with the group that was started by 2 ladies, it started off with, look, I talked to 10 of my friends, you talked to 10 of my friends. They did that and came up with 19 families.
Wow.
So, and then they bought 97 acres of land. Now, from my understanding, each one of those 19 families has at least 2 acres of land out of the original 97 acres of land. I also know that they have Zoom calls, if not every day, practically every day. And when you're communicating that much, in my opinion, you're preventing a lot of problems, or you're solving a lot of problems that might pop up quickly. So that's all I've been able to pick up so far. But I don't know if they have more than 19 families now, because like I say, the original 19 they purchased 97 acres of land about maybe an hour and a half away from Atlanta, Georgia. Because like in Atlanta, the political system, you've got to have, deep pockets to bankroll the system. Whereas for a fraction of a price, they say, you know what, we're going to start fresh. And that's how they got that 97 acres of land to start. Like I say, it's now to 502. So that's all I've been able to pick up. I'll learn more from them tomorrow, but it just seemed, basically simple. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 people two or three founders in the town. It's called the Freedom Georgia Initiative. and they have a YouTube channel called Freedom Georgia.
Wow.
But it seems like the main thing is they communicate, if not daily, as a collective, on a daily basis. And as far as who owns what, the original 19 families has like 2 acres each.
Wow.
Which I imagine they can do anything they want with it. But their goal is to become a municipality where they have their own legal system or law enforcement system. But it seems right now everybody knows everybody. I mean, they've had campouts and tents on the land and everything else. So I'll find out more tomorrow. But if you look them up online, they're pretty advanced. I mean, they're the most advanced I've run across. But there are other groups that are in various stages. Some haven't bought any land yet, but like I said, I've run across 3 that have, and that's just one of the 3. So I'm pretty sure there are more out there, but that's like I say, that's a trend they're looking at. And they were motivated by, the events that we've all heard over the last few years, George Floyd, Trayvon Martin. They say, what, instead of trying to change the system in a larger established city where, like so you got to have deep pockets to bankroll the system and all that, they just say, let's just start fresh. So anyway, I'll land my plane there.
Well, thank you so much, LA. And before you go and before we take the next caller, tell us when your show comes on. Listen.
It's My House, which is on Monday through Friday, knocking at 9 years next month.
Wow. Congratulations.
10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 619-768-2945. Now, today was sort of like playing just pre-recorded stuff, but tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9:30 Central, we will be interviewing, and anybody can call in and ask all the questions they want for as long as they stay on. Typically, might go on for 2 hours for the Freedom Georgia initiative. We'll have that's I guess tomorrow morning. So I've been doing it for 8 consecutive years. If you've never heard It's My House before, tomorrow's the one to listen to. If you ever want to get ahead of the system, they're going to be talking about how you can start your own system.
And give us that call-in number again.
619-768-2945. And like it was started by, talk about the female solution, it was started by basically 2 Black females that their best friends, I believe, and they just came up with the idea. They ran across a piece of land and said, well, you talked to 10 friends and I talked to 10 friends, and that's how it all got started.
And that's really all it takes is to organize the people you know, like, and trust, because you do have to trust them, when you're combining your financial resources. And I think that is one of the key components to even preparing our children for leadership, is to help them know how to organize the people of like mind, because you have to be able to come up with ways that you can create together, which means you have to trust each other and communicate. So that's It's My House, 10:30 a.m. at Eastern Standard Time, 619-768-2945. Is that correct? That's the correct number?
Yes.
Yes. Well, we encourage people.
So, Naima, you're invited to come over tomorrow morning if you want to co-host, so you can, like I said,
I'd love to. Anybody
can call in and then ask questions, because I just don't want LA questions. I want different people, different points of view. Wow. Like I say, these 2 ladies went from an idea. I don't know if they had any money to put up, but they went from idea to 97 acres to 502. They might have more than that now, but that's the last count I got. Wow.
Well, that's definitely the kind of people I want to talk to. I will definitely be calling in. I'll keep that in mind. It's 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. and It's My House on Blog Talk. Is it Blog Talk Radio?
Yeah, Blog Talk Radio. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So go to It's My House on Blog Talk Radio. Call in 619 768 2945. And that's 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, we'll be there for sure. Looking forward to an invigorating conversation with some innovative people that are afraid of being pioneers. Let me take another call before we take a break. Oh, go ahead, Kareem. Go ahead.
Yes, that's not afraid to be innovative and the pioneer. We know in the early part of the settlement of what was called the West, in the early days of these United States, of this country, towns and cities, they had so much land that they would grant land to individuals. And even poor individuals. They would over
Mm-hmm.
a homestead was a piece of land where you could have a house or a building. Sometimes the homestead would be so big you would have more than a house. It was expected that they would farm on that land because the government wanted food producers.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a requirement that they use the land also for farming, called a homestead. Now, I remember there's a period they called the land rush. The land rush. After this government had subdued the indigenous people in this country, they opened up those lands and they was urging people to go west.
Yes.
And the government gave away land to individuals. If you go to stake your claim, that would be your land.
Yep.
But you would expect it to make the land
Productive. Yep. That was it.
But we have to many of us were left from out of that. The African Americans were left from out of that. But at this time, we have to change our mindset. At this point, we need to bring to our attention, because we've been somewhat lured into being pampered, made to expect that we don't have to do anything, that the government
Yes.
or somebody is going to take care of us
Yes.
and do everything for us. We are just here to enjoy life, have fun, eat, sleep, have sex, and die just like the common animal. We have to have a sense of ownership. Yeah, a sense of ownership. A sense of ownership. The public places in this country belong to us too.
Oh yeah.
We are owners, and we have to take on that sense of responsibility. For the areas that we live in, not just expect the government or someone to come in and provide all of our needs and save us. No, that responsibility is on every individual that lives in this country. Every individual.
Yeah.
The government is not going to take care of us forever.
Oh
We
yeah.
have to look inside of ourselves. Yes, I'll stop right there, Mr.
Well, that's a key component. And Sojourner Truth, she, of course, slavery, abolitionist and everything, and she actually went to Washington, D.C. during the time of, civil unrest and uprising, and she was petitioning President Lincoln to give Black people who had been newly emancipated the land out there in the West so that they could learn independence. Because she says slavery is never going to die out. It has to be learned out. And she was so visionary because we know how crippling it has been these last few generations to have so many families raised on welfare, where the expectation is, if I don't have money, the government should give me a check. You know, they should give me money. I can't survive. I'm poor. And that has crippled generations of us from thinking innovatively. How do I create a business? How do I develop a product? How do I employ people? So that whole mindset has to be redeveloped. And like LA was saying, you had these women just coming up with an idea. Let's just get our own land and start from scratch. Be those innovators and produce our own food, because that is one of the major parts of being independent, feeding yourself. And that's what we need to think and prepare our children to think about. How are you going to create a different food production system so that there is no poor class? We got to take another break. Thanks so much, LA. We appreciate you so much. If you can stay with us, we might call on you again. And we're going to take a break and come back to area code 314-677. You're next. And then 773-984. And you have a caller on you?
Yes, ma'am. 779-770.
Okay, we'll come back to them after the break as well. So, all right, we'll be right back after this quick break. So we want you to stay, don't stray away. We'll be back after these brief messages. So stay with us.
I'm Beata, your holistic life coach. These days, it's more important than ever to work on your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Are you consciously breathing deeply in stressful moments? Do you have a plan or daily routine to maintain balance in your awesome body? Are you struggling to be disciplined in your eating habits? When you partner with me, I'll help you develop a personalized health plan that works for your particular lifestyle. You can find out more about me at yourholisticlifecoach.com, where you can also review my 3-step protocol to guide you to abundant health. That's yourholisticlifecoach.com, and I'm Beata.
Do you worry about finances, family, health, job, relationships? Are you in pain? Do you feel stuck? If you answered yes to any of these questions, help is available. Don't worry, you're not alone. It's part of the human process. You only feel this way because you haven't mastered the voices in your head. No hype, just down to earth, solid, workable tools and techniques that you can practice daily. It's really food for the soul. Whether you want to learn how not to worry about anything, reverse type 2 diabetes, publish a book, promote your product or service, or just make extra money. To take advantage of the deal of the day, go to zeldaspeaks.com or call 312-409-6619. Mention promo code The Female Solution and get free shipping. That's zeldaspeaks.com or 312-409-6619. Stop worrying today.
Taxes are higher than ever.
Zeldaspeaks.com.
Hi, this is John Alexander.
And I'm Naima Latif. Meet people like you who are making a positive difference in the world. Watch us every day on The Media Connection at www.youtube.com/The Media Connection TV.
YouTube it. We'll see you soon.
There are people who choose to make a positive difference in the world. Our job is to bring you their story to motivate you to do the same. Join us each week, host John Alexander and Naima Latif, as we bring you the educators, entertainers, elected officials, religious leaders, and community activists whose works are transforming this world. Find out how you can make a difference too. Be inspired. Watch The Media Connection. Mondays at 5 p.m. and Tuesdays at 12 noon on cable TV, Channel 19 in Chicago. And other cities, check your local cable listing.
Taxes are higher than ever. Every day now, a resident leaves Chicago to shop in Atlanta. Jobs are being lost and businesses are relocating. Let's find a way to lower our taxes to encourage residents to continue living and shopping in our city. Let's rebuild. Let's restore Chicago. Vote for me for mayor of the city of Chicago, and I will work hard to find solutions that matter. I'm Dr. Willie Wilson, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for mayor.
Let's take a look at how it all works. Original Medicare alone covers all of your doctor and hospital visits, but you still pay deductibles.
And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, along with our co-host Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family. And we want to hear from you, 515-605-9325 or 515-605-9891, and press 1 when you have something to say. So, Kareem, we're ready for, I'll take 314677, and we'll go to your switchboard and take your caller. All right. 314677. Introduce yourself to our listening and viewing audience and give us your thoughts.
Yes, Bianchi.
Yes.
But Naima, and good morning, you, Kareem. Naima,
Yeah.
what are you preparing your children to live?
Were we preparing them to live, you say?
Leadership starts in the home.
Good point.
Leadership starts in your home. And children has to see a leadership structure working in the home, led by their father. Now, of course, there's all kinds of alternatives. And if they work to perfection, many of these conversations wouldn't be going on what do we do. Politics, government don't develop areas. It's people that develop areas. Kareem talked about the land rush. People would rush into those lands in order so they could stake off their claim so that they could develop their claim. That wasn't government. And also, in Black communities, and it happens also in other states, but not to the extent, they elect people and sit back and see what happens. Vote for them, elect them, and sit back and see what happens. That's not the way it's supposed to work. If you are vying for a tangible, you have to tell that person that you are trying to elect what it is that you want to have them done. You got some examples in St. Louis with that Cori Bush. Elected her, and now you wait to see what she do. And one of the things she started talking about, she changed course because the message that she gave to get elected is not feasible once you're there. You want to get rid of cut defense spending when one of your largest employers in the St. Louis area is a defense contractor. One of your largest employers are defense contractors. So what kind of sense does that make? Another point. These states are countries. They conveniently call states. You're not going to have a country within a country. First, the Constitution don't allow that. Then, of course, the Constitution of those countries, Illinois, Missouri, North Dakota, New Mexico, they don't allow that either. The Constitution of a country, Illinois, Missouri, allow for the establishment of villages, towns, and cities. And that's what you have in St. Louis. The village of Elder Park, the village of Hillsdale, the townships, then the cities, St. Louis and Kansas City. And when you come down to, you're still under the auspices of that state legislature. Policing gets their powers from that state legislature. No place else. So, and another thing, kids have to be educated.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be educated in order so they can provide the skills and meet the needs of established businesses and organizations. If your children are not educated, and if you don't have a pool of educated individuals, business is not going to move to that area. They're not going to do it. And if they was, we wouldn't be talking about it now. Then, getting back to the politics again, like I said, you don't just vote for people. And you know, I heard Kareem talk about Kim Gardner. That woman was used.
Ooh.
First black female prosecutor, Kim Gardner, your prosecutor in the city of St. Louis. First thing she do, she get elected, she gonna sue the governor. Then she get out there on a limb, and those that got behind her to get her to do that, they abandoned her, left her out there. That's usually the way it happens. You're gonna sue the governor. Because the governor, St. Louis, Missouri is what we call a red state, conservative state. I love Missouri because it is a conservative state. But these cities are liberal cities, and these ideas don't work. They just don't work. And the school systems are terrible. Schools are not. And you can't say it's not. You can't say it's the resource. I built about 8 brand new schools in St. Louis area. The last one was the Shine. Those schools are state of the art. So the product that's coming out of those schools should be a whole lot different than what it is. But then again, you got the people who don't know what to look for out of excellent products, excellent productivity. So you got a dilemma. It's like a dog chasing his tail. Where it is, I don't know. And see, about St. Louis area, it's bleeding population. Your schools are down to about 19,000. Can you imagine a major metropolitan area only got 19,000 in their public schools? And then when you bring in hordes of refugees from other countries, they don't go to St. Louis. They put the refugees, those that advocate for them, in other areas, like this latest horde of Afghan refugees are moving to the Chesterfield area, one of the richest areas in the United States. Moslems, 50,000, South St. Louis. They didn't go to North St. Louis. Even when Africans migrate to the area, they don't live in the hood. They move out in the surrounding areas. On the east side, they live out in Belleville, of all places. Come on.
Well, yeah, you have raised some very significant points about what it really takes to run a government and what our leadership should be doing, and the fact that we tend to put people in office and, like you say, just sit back and say, "Oh, let's see what they're going to do." When in fact, a leader doesn't do anything without the backing and the direction of the people. I totally agree. And that style of waiting for a leader to change things, you know, that's like that Messiah complex. Somebody's going to come and save us. Nobody's going to save us, from us, for us, but us. Great quote from Reverend Jesse L. Jackson, whose son was elected to Congress last night and has basically laid out a visionary plan. But you can't expect, as you said, you can't expect to lead anybody unless you know how to organize them. And they are leading you. They're giving you what their concerns are, and you take your position and implement it based on the structure that exists. Unless you, like the people that LA was talking about, are going to set up a different structure someplace else, But even then, as you pointed out, you're still part of, you can't go and create your own country. You can create a township that interacts with the country. But if you're in these United States, you got to think, how do we create something that we own and control, but is also interactive with the rest of the nation?
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you build something that's out of line, utilities not going to provide power to that country. You have to buy it as if you're a separate individual. And you know another thing, the move now, because the federal government is completely out of control, you have the states sign on to the Article 5 of the United States Constitution, allow them to make a convention, and they're going to reel in that federal government. I mean, that's another thing. We don't understand how government works.
Well, I agree.
Only has the power that you allow them to have.
I agree. That is a state of mind.
Government has all
Right.
the power the states, the countries allow them to have, and there's a move to reel them in like it should be done. And you made mention about poverty and inflation. Inflation, one of the main culprits that provide for inflation is the reckless borrowing of money. And then that debt is pushed down in the further generation. So your great-great-grandchildren is already going to be born with it.
So that means we have to think of something different. So that means, and that's a key thing, we have to think of how do we create a different financial system, because the one we have is geared toward debt and indebtedness, which creates poverty. But we thank you for raising those points, Pianki, as always. We appreciate all that you challenge us to think about. So, Kareem, you've got a caller on your line?
Yes, area code 779-770. Welcome to the Female Solution.
Assalamu alaikum.
Oops.
My name is Hashim. That station, the number that you gave us, 7:30 a.m. or p.m.?
Oh, that's AM. And I'll put it up on the screen again. Yeah, hold on one second. Let me pull it up for those who want to listen in. And I think it's important that we listen into this show. It's My House. That's 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 9:30 Central Time. And that call-in number is 619-768-2945. I think we need to listen to that show and get some ideas from people who think independently and interdependently, because they have changed their mind and have been able to envision something different. Also, I wanted to share this comment with you from our Facebook family, our sister of the microphone, Zelda Robinson, from our Monday morning host. She says, Grand Rising, maybe Pianki should consider running for office because of his wisdom. Well, what do you think about Pianki? Is a political career in your horizon? Definitely.
He said something that Pianki said something that is key. And it should not be overlooked that a government and leadership begins in the family.
There you go.
That's the first social unit. Until we strengthen our families, then we'll not demonstrate or producing the type of leadership that we want. Authority was housed in our parents, and the father was seen as the number one authority. But in the home, the mother was seen as the person being in charge of that freedom space.
Freedom space.
So until we begin to exemplify the type of leaders are they are bred. They are bred in the family unit. So he's very key on it. He's right on point with it. I'll stop right there.
Yes.
Assalamu
Yes, sir. Go right ahead. Give us your name and where you're calling from so I can pull up on our screen for our viewers to see.
My name is Hashim Kamal, Rockford, Illinois. But does that come on every day in number?
Yeah, it comes on every day. Yes. Yeah.
What was that gentleman's name that was about structure of the government?
That was Bianchi from St.
St.
Louis.
Louis?
Yes. And where are you from, sir? Yeah, Bianchi.
Rockford, Illinois.
Oh, okay.
How
And
do you spell his name?
Pianki, I believe that's how I'm spelling it here on the screen. I think that's the spelling he gave me, Bianchi. He's a longtime listener and contributor, and I think I met him when I was doing a radio show in St. Louis. So, you know, he's been a commentator on social issues and issues of finance and government and business for a long time, and has definitely been advocating for a more independent thought of people who are, you know, stuck in a victim mentality. And give me your name again, would you? I'm sorry, what was that again?
Hashem.
Oh, okay. And Hashem, where are you from? I'm sorry.
Rockford, Illinois.
Lockport, Illinois.
Rockford, Illinois.
Oh, Rockford.
Does he have a telephone? Yes. Does Bianchi have a telephone number?
Well, I tell you what I can do. I can give it to Kareem, who can give it to you because he can see your number, and we can connect you to him. And
I see.
that was
Write it down now.
and we can certainly make that connection. I think that there are a lot of things that he said that we have to consider, like you were saying, Kareem. The first foundation that we have to set is the family. And the reason why we're in these states of poverty and powerlessness is because our families fell apart. And I'm sure the people that organized the townships that LA is talking about had families and organized according to families. So when you have a unit that is organized, such as a family, then you can do collective economic projects such as buying property and developing homes. And I think Bianchi was talking about the homesteaders. Families would get together and help build homes. Matter of fact, the Amish still do it that way. You know, you help each other. I help you build your house, you help me build my house. And that's how it's done, you know. So now we got this bank financing thing where you end up in debt. Whereas before we were organizing our families to help each other, and we would build each other's homes, and that's how it got done. So you're right. First thing is the family. So Brother Hashan, did you have another comment you wanted to make?
So I'll contact Brother email Kareem and we go from there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate you.
If Bianchi does not mind that we share his phone number, you know, I think we need to ask him if it's all right. You know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, you know, we can always give him the brother's phone number if he doesn't mind as well. You know, then Bianchi can call him. Yeah. Yes. Let me take another caller on our switchboard, and we have, let me see here. Hi. 773-984. I believe you are next. Grand Rising. Introduce yourself to our listening and viewing audience and give us your comments regarding how we prepare our children for leadership.
Assalamu alaikum, this is Rashida.
Hey, Rashida, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. I think we prepare our children for leadership by first acknowledging God in our home, and for those who believe in God, or letting them know there's a higher force in themselves. Because I found out something being a defense contractor myself and networking with my people. They don't have most of my people when it comes to thinking outside of the box, in my opinion, and from my experience, is that we have narcissistic, selfish kind of behavior. And when it comes to government, I don't care how much land that we acquisition, we still have to go according to the Federal Acquisition Regulation, which is the laws for contracting. Where if we have 1,000 acres of land and we want to build schools, we still have to go according to the laws of the land, which is governed by the Federal Acquisition Regulation. I was the only plan holder in Region 5. I held the plans for all of the federal buildings.
Wow.
In Region 5, including Missouri. And I found out from experience that our people were the ones that I was networking with, and they didn't have respect for the law. They wanted their way. And they said, you're not a contractor, but I'm holding a blueprint to the federal building. Who am I if I'm not a contractor? So there was a bunch of controversy, and as a result, I became a victimized by my own people. My fiance got killed, and all my blueprints were stolen. I didn't earn a dime. Although I created Work for Hire, they're teaching the trade that I created in the city colleges. I met the young guy who got his first associate in the trade that I created. But it had to be included in the Davis-Bacon Act, which is the laws for wage scale that's governed by the Federal Acquisition Regulation. So if we acquire 1 million acres of land, it has to be regulated before people on that land, even though we acquisition the land. So our people have to start giving respect to and knowing the laws of whatever we do, because they created before we even exist. And our children have to learn, the laws has laws for anything that we do. Laws is rules. God has laws. This rules. So we have to respect that in order to achieve, in our opinion, in order to achieve anything. You can't just come up and say, we want to create this. The politicians that you can put pressure on that can help you, in your innovation for doing whatever you do. But there's a law that he has to go by, because several politicians went to penitentiary because they didn't follow the Federal Acquisition Regulations during the time I was a landowner. So we have to know before we can teach, even in our homes. There's people don't know. Those who are in leadership positions have to be willing to teach, but then a lot of people don't have the will to know. So there's a lot of things that make us have disability, and that's why they set aside for contractors. We have the ability or the will to gain the ability to know. And we have the right to know. Even a federal law that says the right to know. But it's our people that's miseducated and business educated, in my opinion. Because that was painful. We carry and hold the blueprints to the new post office downtown and use the specifications and sign the amendment for the new post office and the old post office and the 219 South Dearborn and the John Dealer building and Detroit, all those, the whole region.
Wow.
I didn't get a dime because I wanted to network with my people. And that's the result of it. The killing of my fiance, that I had the blueprint and the blueprint case. And not only that, the specification of millions, but fortunately, something good came out of it. My grandson, who was killed, he became a federal contractor.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's good that he became a contractor.
That was good. Yeah, it was good. He became a contractor. He got killed.
Wow.
Crazy. For no reason. And, you know, I'm like, oh, that's the way it is. That's it. I came around shot it. And he was 26, man, making almost $200,000 a year from his unspent equity. But our people are more detrimental to each other than anything. You know, I said, you know, it just made me withdraw. I was going to school now, the people that look like me. But it's sad that we're so bad and miseducated. Now, we can't overthrow government. If we get land, we have to go according to the regulations for acquisitions and development. That's how it is. If it's working again, we can team up and get land. So we can't just get land and build what we want. We're going to build a hospital here. We're going to build on our own. It's regulated.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. And I think the residents. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes, there are standards that we all agree on. Standards of safety, or there are regulations that we all agree on. But as a religious body of people, we have the right of freedom of religion. We have the right to establish our own educational system, our own schools, and also adhering to the known standards. Let me say this. You know, you mentioned earlier, alluding to people that are not conscious of God. You know, as religious, we get a lot of background noise.
Oh, well, thank you, Rashida. Let me close the mics. And I appreciate Rashida's comments about that as well. Go ahead, Kareem, before we take a break. Go ahead.
Yes, there are some simple things that we can do that I believe will have a beneficial effect on the overall society. There is if we return back to some basics, some basic practice that the religious people used to practice. The religious order that are identified as Jews, they have a call to prayer that is blown through a ram's horn. Mm-hmm. And in their community, that ram's horn is blown at specific times of the day. That strikes the consciousness of those people. With Christians, the Christians utilize the bell. The bell. I remember as a young boy, we would hear the bell toll throughout the different times of the day. And no matter what we were doing, we recognized that. And I'm quite sure it had a positive effect. As Muslims, we are given the adhan to call 5 times a day, publicly. A loudspeaker can be attached to your master, and the adhan of broadcast. Beautiful recitation that is beautiful, and it touches the heart. If we as religious people would return back to those basic principles, utilization of the ram's horn, utilization of the ringing of the bell that could be heard throughout the whole community, and a Muslim call to prayer. Those are basic foundations. I believe that the overall society would benefit if we return back to those basics. What do you think about that?
Well, I think those basics remind people that they are part of a collective, they're part of a community. It reminds them of the unity consciousness. We are a group, and we are adhering to higher principles of interaction that are given to us by our Creator to be kind, generous, compassionate toward one another, helpful toward one another. So these times where we gather for prayer and remembrance of a higher power that we are expressing, it reminds us that we're not to be selfish. We're not to be greedy and self-seeking. We're not to be dishonest, because we're gathering as one unit with these higher principles. I agree. And as Rashida was saying about people who get involved in things and maybe they're unscrupulous or greedy or thieving, it's because they see themselves as individuals and they're thinking selfishly. So when you have a collective practice that reminds people you are part of a whole, you're part of a group, you're part of a body, and we stand for something higher, and we're expressing that higher consciousness, that higher thought, then I agree, that does set a standard for why we're doing what we're doing. It's not for selfish gain, it's for the greater collective. And that's what's expressed when you have what we've called God consciousness. We are expressions of that higher consciousness in everything we do. So that has to reflect in our values and our ethics and our behavior. I agree. So we got to take one last break, and we'll be right back and take some more of your calls. We got a couple more callers on our switchboard. So wait, 706-202 and 773-450. Hold on. We'll be right back after this quick break. So we want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away.
Our kids are the future.
Hold it. And we'll be right back. Stay with us. And in the meantime, when we set that up, let us go to our next promo, which is, here we are. Let's remind us of what happens every Monday morning.
Is Monday morning a struggle to get out of bed into the swing of things? Well, don't worry, you are not alone. Join us for thought-provoking, stimulating, and mindful conversations on higher learning with Zelda Speaks. Monday morning on Blog Talk Radio, the Female Solution. Monday, 7:30 until 9 a.m. Be sure and send your ideas, thoughts, comments, and suggestions. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit ZeldaSpeaks.com and send us your info. We'd love to have you. Experience mindfulness moments with the mindfulness/stress relief coach, Zelda Speaks. And thanks for sharing the mindfulness moments tip of the day. Stay on purpose, stay empowered, and stay tuned to your next session of mindfulness on higher learning with Zelda Speaks. Make it a mindful day. And thanks for listening.
Our kids are the future and should not be left behind. One person should not decide what is the best for our 77 communities. Politicians must work together for our kids' best interests. They deserve a safe education with resources that meet every student need. Let's rebuild and restore Chicago. Vote for me for mayor of Chicago. I'm Dr. Willie Wilson, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for mayor.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Three Black Moms. And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, along with our co-host Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family on this Wednesday morning. And got a couple of comments from our Facebook family. Zelda Robinson says, yes, understanding is crucial. This system has been crumbling for years. We're just seeing it happening now. And she is correct. We are certainly seeing systems break down, which means this is our opportunity to create something better. And Claudette Hernandez says, beautiful topics. Yes, thank you, Claudette. Thank you to you who have added your statements to this conversation. And I believe we are back with our American Muslim 360 family and ready to take another caller. Area code 706-202. Introduce yourself to our listening and viewing audience and give us your wisdom today.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Naima, Brother Kareem, and to the 360 family. This is Brother Kwame Sunhorse here on the stolen land of the Muskogee Creek in Edenton, Georgia. Very important topic. The destruction of a nation begins in the home. And what you were asking about the part of children, it's how a child is conceived. These are the tools of how a child is conceived. The destruction of a nation begins in the home. What is taught in the home for those children that will grow into adults to conceive and to make another nation? That's what the father is there for. Man stands for to make another nation, and woman is the womb to make another nation. What we're looking at is land that was, we're looking at lands that were stole by the doctrine of discovery. And the thing of what we're seeing is, and we're talking about Missouri. Missouri was part of the Louisiana Purchase. From Louisiana to Minnesota.
Right here.
From Louisiana to Minnesota was land that was belonged to the French. And if you go back and why was the French selling that land, it's because the people of Haiti had took their freedom back by taking the land that they had brought to them. So what we're seeing is how these avenues of control have been put in place. What we are looking at is that everything we need is within us, and how that we conceive and bring forth that which is in each of us. We all come onto this planet. This planet is the basis of all economics, because land is the first thing that you have to create any economics. And being able to understand that we are stewards of this land. We will never own God's planet. And so what we have to be able to do is how do we steward? How do we become one with the community of the forest and
the mountains and the rivers and oceans, we have to know that in this, the stewards of it. And the part of it is the union of man and woman to be able to delegate what is to be done in the forest or the community. When you create an urban area, you take over. Urban means to take over 1,000 people and put them in a square mile radius.
Mm.
The Land Act of 1862, I believe it was, that they gave 270 million acres. That was part of the Louisiana to those people west of the Mississippi. What we're seeing now is a country that was stolen from people that were already here. And what we're looking at is how do we attempt to do the same thing, or do we do as we were here once before the invaders came in? How do we take and be the stewards that we once were again? We're looking to someone who doesn't look like us, that took what didn't belong to them, to give us the guidance to do what we were doing before they even came out of the cave. So we have to look at our story and stop believing in their story, and things can change.
I agree. And you know, as people were talking about the land situation, that was kind of in the back of my mind. Those who were headed west, those who were granted land, yeah, you know, you're being given somebody else's property, and I think it was Kareem that said, you know, that the indigenous people were subdued, which meant, you know, killed, and moved off the land and put in reservations. And so now we're the government. We're going to give you land. Well, it wasn't yours to give, but you kind of, you know, bogarted and made it yours. And there's so many wounds from that reality. So before I take the next caller, let me ask this question: is there a way to make it right when because we do need, if we're going to grow food and be independent, we do need to acquire the land. Is there a way to create a different kind of structure so that we are, as you said, Kwame, benefiting from where we settle, where we're developing, where we're feeding people, we're restoring the health of the earth and all the things, as you said, we did before the colonization and before the invasion? We were more like stewards and developers in a healthy way. Can we do that? And can we benefit the indigenous people when we do that?
Yes, because we did it once after our so-called transfer of ownership, emancipation. We built towns and cities that look like us, and what we were able to do is to construct what we had done in building this country for them. And so what we saw is that any attempt to become equal in being able to provide for yourself, educate yourself, give your belief system for yourself, will be challenged and attacked by those who do not want to give up power. Power is the ability to define someone's reality and to make them to believe that which is not your own. Your power to be free was given to you at birth.
Absolutely. Well, you know,
if we,
yeah, go ahead, Kareem. Yes, and thank you, Baba Kwame. We appreciate that perspective to remind us. Go ahead, Kareem.
Yes, you know, when we look at the overall picture, we step back and look at what took place with the land rush, the Homestead Act. People went out there, they staked their claims, they built houses, sometimes it's out of dirt, sod houses, and they established farms. Well, look at the condition now. Who owns those farms now? The farmer. A farmer has in fact actually driven out of business. He's been denied bank loans. He was paid not to plant and produce certain
Yes.
crops. That was price fixing, and it was hard for farmers to even get a loan to plant for the next season. Come to find out, the farm became heavily leveraged to the bankers, and there's very few independent farms now. The corporations have took over. All right, yeah, good. You did a good job. All right, but now we shall take over. We have huge corporations like Archer Daniels Midland, General Mills, huge conglomerates that now control the land and control what is produced on those lands. The independent farmer, he was used, and he shoved it off to the side now. So the enemy he's not just looking at color. He's looking at greed.
That's
Greed,
yeah.
the accumulation of wealth. He does not care what color you are or what class you come from. Who owns the land now? Who is producing our food now? It is huge multinational corporations. So I'll stop right there.
Well,
I pray that we look at that.
Well,
from a
this
panoramic view.
I agree. Well, this is why we have to create a different mind in the young people who are in the pathway to leadership. And we have to create a different mind in the children that we're raising, because we cannot try to conform to what they're doing. Their way is anti-life. And if we're going to be pro-life, then that means we're farming for the purpose of feeding, and we're feeding and nourishing people and keeping them healthy, and not for the purpose of making a profit, which means the systems that we create have to be cooperative and not beholden to a banking system that is greed driven. And as you said, there are times that farmers are paid not to farm so that the prices for food can be at a certain level. Well, that's anti-life. So the thinking, the training, the raising of our children has to be for them to look at the system and see where it's wrong, and not try to fit into a wrong system. Well, how can I get my credit score up so I can get a bank loan so I can get it? No, we're not about that. We have to think of a different system so that we can organize and cooperate and create, because that system is anti-life and it's going to produce exactly what it's producing. So that means our children have to think differently. They can't see themselves as behind or beholden or subjected to someone else. Like Baba Kwame said, I mean, we are born free. We are all free spirits inhabiting these bodies. No one, you can't own a soul, and you can't own the earth. You can't own anything. You can share what has been given by the creative energy of the universe. You can share it and you can cooperate to enhance it. And that's the kind of mindset we want our children to have, so that every system that is now crumbling will go ahead and crumble. We can't uphold it with the thought that that's what we have to conform to and fit into, because it's not working. It can't work because it's meant to control, not transform or enhance. So I think we got another caller here. Let me go to area code 773-450. Grand Rising, and thank you for joining us on the Female Solution. Give us your name, where you're calling from, and your comments.
Grand Rising.
Walaikum salam. Yes. Walaikum salam.
It's a wonderful program with a lot of different ideas. Wonderful program with a lot of different ideas to help us be better. You know, the only thing is, to me, is unity. If you just take 100 black men and 100 black women, and they put up $100 on a week together. In a year's time, they have $1 million. Not so much the $1 million that group can gather, but just the fact that they've got 200 talents and gifts that they can combine. They can create their own nation right where they are, just with 200 people. The only thing missing is unity. In fact, the home would be the original place you should get a lot of information, but if the home has information that's miscommunicated, then sometimes you have to break away from your family to get a higher consciousness. You need to create new home ideas for people that have consciousness so that we can do something bigger. And lastly, just so people will know for history's sake, when Black folks got disenfranchised and pushed off the plantation and they told them slavery was over and left with absolutely nothing to help themselves, that's when we was creating towns like Rosewood and Tulsa, Oklahoma, and all these other things that we created. But if you look at the history, the government will always come along and kill somebody if somebody is helping the group, or either kill out the people. We took away talk if it wasn't the government. So what I would say at the end of the day is that we need to be more strategic, we need to be more conscious, we need to be more, for lack of a better word, more secretive about what we're doing when we rise in consciousness. We don't have to let anybody know what we do. If you got 200 people that just unified, and they create $1 million amongst themselves just on the side, every 12 months, they themselves, we could follow that model. We could create all types of things around this country without the government's help or anybody else's help but ourselves. We need unity. We need true riches with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Let's unify.
So Obadiah, before we go, let me ask you this question. Can you think of 10 families, just 10? Can you think of 10 families that think like you think, and you all trust each other enough to set up a bank account, whether it's a credit union account or whatever it is, that you would put in that $100 a month for the purpose of purchasing land, the way these women did that LA is going to have on his show? Can you think of 10 families that have the same mindset you have, that you all trust each other enough to begin the process by pooling the money that you have? Just 10. Can you think of 10?
Yes, I can. But you know what the problem was always, Naima, was a lack of trust.
Oh, there you go.
I created that model in a small way. All this, just a handful of people on the job to tell them stuff. They bought a whole building with just a group of people.
So that's all it takes.
So what I'm saying is, Naima, it takes a consciousness to think about
trust.
In other words, let's buy a huge compound. But it was a lack of trust. When the people said we gathered up the money, who were they going to trust to hold it? So I would even challenge this program. I'm willing to put up $100 a week. Everybody else is to put it together just to see what we can do. I know you can get at least 100 people on this show within the show to donate that, and we'll have our own $1 million pool, and not just talk about what we can do.
Yeah, we'll definitely make that happen. We'll make that happen.
People like Beyonce, brilliant minds that we have, and people like Beyonce and that. Imagine what we all could do with just $1 million in just 1 year, what we could create just for this thing. So I'm just saying that because at the end of the day, the government and all that stuff is in control and all that. You just put back in all the beliefs it's okay to have programs that teach boys how to be girls.
Well, you know what? Oh, you know what, Obadiah? That governor and everybody else, nobody is keeping us from doing what you just said. No matter what the philosophy is, nobody's controlling us from doing the program you just said, put our money together and buy the land. And so if we decide to do that, we have the power to do it. We got to go, but I want to thank you for that thought.
$100 a week.
All right. Well, look for it, because our Pandemic Farms, producing agricultural nourishment, developing economies, making independent communities. That's our goal. So look for it, because we're scoping now land to be purchased to develop farming in urban and rural areas, collectively owned. And we're looking for people like you who are ready to make that move. So, last words before we go, Brother Kareem? Uh-oh. I think we are about to go. So we thank you all for joining us, and join us tomorrow for Soulful Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green, right here on the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. And thank you,
We've come to the end of our
Claudette
show today,
from Mexico.
but
Thank
can
you
hear
so
every
much.
show in the
And
archive
Zell, the lack of
at
trust is embedded in our
www.blogtalkradio.com
society, reinforced by negative programming. Turn off
female-solution.
and tune in
You
to
can also
higher
hear today's
self.
show on the Female
Great
Solution
show. Thank
Facebook
you.
page. Go to www.facebook.com/thefemalesolution. Leave your comments about today's show. You can always reach me on my website at www.naimalatif.com. That's
To
www.naimalatif.com.
prepare
Watch our
for a
TV
new
shows,
society that
listen
we
to
are
our radio
building.
shows, order our books, and be sure to get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. On behalf of our team of
And
radio
thank you,
hosts,
Claudette,
I'd
for
like to thank
joining
all of
us
you
from
who
Mexico.
participated
Keep
in
on
today's
listening.
discussion.
Be a part
And
of
to
the
our
solution.
global family listening from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, Sheshe, India, Zanyaba, Japan, Arigato, Korea, Kamsahamnida, Russia, Spasiba, Germany, Danke, Poland, John Kunyo,
Right.
France, Merci, Spain, Gracias, Italy,
Gracias to our
Gracias,
friend from Mexico.
Shukran, Ghana, Medasi, Nigeria, Eshe, South Africa, Gabonga, Senegal, Jerez, Kenya, Asante, Israel, Toda, Pakistan, Shukriya, Afghanistan, Tashakur, Arabia, Assalam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you. And may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.
See you tomorrow.